Hour to Give. I'm Sam Laprade. Thank you so much for spending time with us today. We're going to learn all about Cornerstone Housing for Women today. This show is all about community philanthropy and, of course, volunteerism. And I'd like to introduce our very first guest today, Joe Deslardier. How are you, Joe? How are you?
I'm good.
Good. Nice
How are
to
you?
see you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Joe, tell me a little bit about your connection with Cornerstone. Why are you involved?
Because I escaped an abusive relationship, and so was able to find a safe haven to go to, and it was Cornerstone.
And it was Cornerstone.
Yeah.
So take me back a little bit, Joe, because I think when people hear that someone's escaped an abusive relationship, they may not really understand what that meant for you on a day-to-day basis. What did that look like?
On a day-to-day basis, yeah, trying to do the right thing not to get hit was one of the main important things that I had to deal with every day. So when a woman gets into that situation, by the time it's that bad, there is no way out. And they carry shame. And a lot of people want to lay judgment as soon as you leave. So it's better to stay sometimes. That's what you're thinking. Because the most dangerous time for a woman is when she's leaving. And they know that they're losing you. That's the most dangerous time for a woman.
Before we go any farther, I just want to thank you so much for your honesty and for sharing your story today, because it's a difficult story to share. There's hope at the end of it.
Yes.
But to tell your story so bravely, I just want to
Yes.
thank you very much for that.
Oh, thank you, no problem. I just want someone that was in my situation to know that they're not alone and they're not the first person to go through that. And they probably won't be the last.
I'm assuming, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm
Yeah.
assuming it's a lonely place.
It's a very lonely place. Like, I'm on my own in this world. When I left my ex-husband, I just walked away because I didn't want to use my son to hurt him, and that's the game he played with me. So I just left and ended up in a worse situation, but in the long run, it's better for me because I'm learning to become the woman I was always meant to be.
That feels empowering when you say that.
It's very empowering, yeah. I know, I just got a rush.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And so, I mean, it's obviously a very difficult situation to, to share your story. But take me back to maybe the days leading up to you deciding to leave.
To leave? Very scary. He already caught me one time. So every time they catch you, the beatings get worse. So I believe it's something like the 7th time. If a woman doesn't make it out the 7th time, she will probably be killed. And I think that was my 7th time. He tried choking me and smothering me, and somehow I got away, and that was it. I was done. Yeah, I was done. Called the cops. He went to jail, and I started my new life.
Started your new life.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the stats in terms of domestic violence, in terms of femicide, are staggering in this country, staggering in this community. And what you've just shared is exactly the life that you were leading. And so give us a sense of the support that you felt when you did walk through Cornerstone for the very first time.
It was no judgment. Someone in my situation needs a place to go to where there's going to be no judgment, and not to be asked, how come you didn't leave? Why didn't you call the police? Those are the worst questions that I'm asked, because when a woman's leaving that situation, we're still trying to figure out what happened, how we got there, and how we let that happen to us. So I didn't even know the question, like how to answer it. So, and I still get answered that question. Well, why didn't you call the cops? Why didn't? Because you carry a lot of shame, and it's shameful, and that's what they want, is for you to be shameful, and it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to have to come out and say, this is the life I was living, because a lot of times it's in secret, and it's a secret. You keep the secret, they're keeping the secret, because you don't want nobody to find out.
And when you did open up to people at Cornerstone and shared your story, it felt safe, I'm assuming?
Yes, felt very safe. It was a safe place. Safe place. No judgment, no nothing. We're here for you. You know, you can find, you know, not everybody connects with everybody, but there's someone there for everyone. Yeah.
And so tell me about your life now.
Oh, my life is amazing. I never thought that I could be so happy and feel so good. I have a home and I'm safe. My first home since I was 17 years old that I was safe. And I'm 50. So over 30 years of abuse I took. Yeah.
And did you leave during the pandemic, Joe?
No,
It was before?
before the pandemic.
pandemic.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of people through the pandemic, you know, we hear the Prime Minister and the Premier and the Mayor, everyone telling us, go home. And for so many, it wasn't a safe place.
Not a safe place. I couldn't even imagine what that would be like to have to be stuck there 24/7. Very dangerous.
Did you think about that during the pandemic?
Not so much, because I was just still kind of like coming out of the fog, as I guess you could say. Yeah.
And so in terms of, you know, moving forward with your life and like you said, becoming the woman that you always thought you could be at
Yeah.
50,
Yeah.
what does the next year look like for you, Joe?
Not sure. I mean, I've done a lot of healing, but I have a ways to go yet. Like they say, the amount of time that you were abused, that's the amount of time it takes to heal. I mean, I'll be healing every day, but everything looks bright. Yeah.
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 And what would you say to somebody that maybe, you know, this is foreign to them, that they've never had any of this happen in their life? What would you say to somebody that is maybe listening to your story and not understanding it because they haven't had that experience? What would
Yes.
you want them to know?
There's no words to say, because unless you lived it, you can't understand it. Best thing I could say is just don't judge. Don't judge what you see. Like I have tattoos and that, and I know people probably judge me by looking, but then once they start talking to me and they realize like, wow, you know, you're not what I thought you would be. Best thing is to just no judgment, and it's a scary place to be. And for a woman to come forward, that takes a lot of guts. And that in itself is something to be proud of her for. Yeah.
And the holidays, how have they differed? Because we hear a lot in terms of domestic violence that bigger sort of times, whether it be around the Super Bowl or whether it be holidays or birthdays or special occasions, that can actually be a trigger in the home.
So with my ex-husband, it was good because I had my kids. I mean, the abuse was there. But with my ex-boyfriend, we didn't celebrate nothing. I would sleep all day because I didn't have my kids. But I'm sure it's a trying time, right? Nobody has money. It's stressful. And it's sad to say that the person being abused is going to get the butt end of the stick, you know? Like, but it's a very scary, anything stressful, anything that doesn't go their way, it's the person being abused that pays for it. And it's a sad thing to say. And there's a lot of people that are suffering in silence, not just women, men too. Yeah.
When you were asked by Cornerstone to share your story with me and to share your story with Cornerstone stakeholders and donors and people that are very engaged with the work, what was your first reaction? Did you want to share your story? Did you want to get it out there?
Yes, I'm totally open with my story. I have a TikTok channel that I share. Everything from the ugly crying to my happy moments, because I want, it came to the point where I was in the hospital and the doctor just finished telling me he thought my face was broken, and they asked me for emergency contact. And I was like, wow, I have nobody. They're like, that's okay, that's why we're there. And I said, no, like, I have a family. Like, that was my lowest point. And I want someone, if they're in that situation, to maybe they hear my story and know that it does get better. And they're, you know, you do have a chance to shine.
Oh, you are inspiring.
Yes.
There are no two ways about it. You are absolutely inspiring.
Thank you.
And I think people, and the reason I asked the question earlier about people that have never experienced this, because I think people have this sense of, or they think they have this perception of who experiences abuse. But the reality is, we know that it's across every neighborhood.
Yes.
That it is not deemed by anything financial or, you know, from society's perspective, it can be in every neighborhood in this city.
It is in every neighborhood in this city. Because the people that are abusing, they know where to hit you so that the bruises don't show.
Well, that breaks my heart.
Yeah. The bruises don't show. And the woman will always, I heard a saying that it said, you lied to everybody so that they would hate me, and I lied to everybody so that they would like you.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's true.
That's powerful.
It's true.
That's powerful. We only have a minute. I could talk to you for an hour easily, but we only have a minute. What would you say to people that have donated to Cornerstone over the years so that you would have this safe place?
Oh, thank you. Like, there's not enough thank yous that I can say, because it's all walks of life that are being helped. And thank you, thank you, thank you. And we appreciate it so much. And we're so thankful every day. Yeah.
I can tell. I will never forget you, and I'm so grateful for your time today. We're going to be meeting lots of other people from Cornerstone today. Don't tell them, but you're my favorite. Thank you so much, Joe. I really appreciate your time today. We're spending time today with many, many guests from Cornerstone. You've heard Joe's story. I know it's inspired you. The inspiration will continue here on An Hour to Give. I'm Sam Laprade. Come on back, everyone. Thank you so much for spending time with us here on An Hour to Give. Today is all about Cornerstone Housing for Women, and I am absolutely thrilled to introduce the chair of the board of directors, and of course, that is Mr. Holzman. How are you?
It's Mark Holzman.
Okay.
Hi, Sam. I'm great. How are you?
I am so excited to chat with you today. And let's just get the question, because I just asked it. Let's get the question right out. You're the son of the wonderful Jacqueline Holzman.
So Jackie's my mother, and she's my role model. She taught us how to give back and to be part of the community and what really makes a great community. And it's one of the ways I can follow in her footsteps, by being involved in Cornerstone. And,
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for sharing that, because I know that'll set the stage today. Everybody, of course, adores your beautiful mom. So let's talk a little bit about Cornerstone. We just heard Joe share her story, and I will take it with me for the rest of my life. It's a story, unfortunately, Mark, that plays out in every community. What did you think about Joe's story today?
Jo is amazing. Her story is her story, but her story is also the story of Cornerstone, because for 40 years, Cornerstone has been a place where people in the situation that Joe was in can find a safe place, a place that understands, a place to live, and a place for support. And that's what it's hard to believe that 40 years ago, we started with 3 cots in the basement of a church in Sandy Hill to provide some emergency shelter. And now we have over 200 people, women and diverse individuals, having emergency shelter and long-term permanent supportive housing. What Joe was talking about, a place to call home, to be at home.
A place to call home, and a safe place. I mean, that's the essence of it all. Talk to me a little bit, Mark, about the 40th anniversary and how you're going to celebrate this, because there are some big plans.
It's exciting. I'm excited to be chair of the board. I'm a volunteer, as are all the other board members, but we have a whole year of activities planned to celebrate to celebrate how far we've come and where we're going in the future. And rather than just one thing, we're going to do events throughout the year. We're going to have fundraisers, and celebrations. So we'll start off right away in February with our coldest night of the year, which is a walk to raise money for people who are experiencing homelessness and in shelters. And we'll walk in Westboro, which is where one of our residences is, and with the support of the community and hundreds of walkers, we'll raise funds to support the emergency shelter, which Joe talked about how important it is to have a place where you can be welcomed right away, whatever your situation. Then we will have, in the spring, we're excited to be opening our next permanent supportive housing residence at 44 Eccles. And that's exciting. We were able, with government funding, to purchase an old school that had been converted into offices, and we're making 46 permanent supportive apartments for women and gender diverse individuals. So 46 more people will have a place for them to live, a place with a door that locks, a private bathroom, a kitchenette, and 24-hour support from our staff and our partners who help people to become the best that they can be and to live their best life.
Here's what I love about it. We hear a lot about the housing crisis. We hear a lot of complaining, but their solution is coming from Cornerstone. You've got a solution to this, and I love it.
Jo said it herself. This is a place where she feels safe. And it starts from having a place where you can feel safe, and then you can work on whatever it is that you want to work on with the support that you need. And it isn't just about a place to live. It's about having that wraparound support that we provide, a lot of it with our own funds that we have to raise, because while we're very grateful for the support from government, we raise $1 million a year just to support the programming that we do at the shelter, so that women like Jo can regroup and enjoy their life. So it's very important to us.
It's so important, and I will say that I remember a time, because I'm a little long in the tooth now, Mark, where we didn't talk about women's homelessness. We talked about men's homelessness, but we didn't speak about women's homelessness. It was almost another layer of taboo, if you will. We certainly didn't talk about the agencies. We didn't fundraise for them openly like we do. Why is it so important that we've turned that corner?
It's critically important. Every year, over 1,000 women and gender diverse individuals in our city will be experiencing homelessness, either long-term or short-term. And women have particular needs that can't be met in the regular shelter programs because they're at more risk. Jo talked about the trauma that she was experiencing. And we are the only emergency shelter solely for women, and our supportive housing is for women, designed for the needs with the supports that are required, and to create a community where those kinds of supports can be offered. And it's a crisis. It's a crisis on the streets with all of the challenges, and it's particularly hard for women and gender diverse individuals because they have specific needs. And so Cornerstone, right from the beginning, has said that's what we're going to do, and we're going to do the best that we can do for helping those people. And
I think too, when you go back 40 years, 3 cots in a church, to now, you have really kept up with what the community needs. I mean, that's a big part of this new building coming, this new housing coming to you in 2024. All of that, I mean, you've had to keep up, and you've kept up because donors have kept up.
And we've had wonderful support from our donors. This is a very generous community, and people respond to the needs during the pandemic, during the convoy. The women at Cornerstone were right in the center of all of that, and the community stepped forward to help because they care. And we've changed a lot. Our focus is more on the permanent supportive housing. Eccles will be our 5th supportive housing residence. We'll have 200 apartments And that enables people to have some stability. It's not emergency housing anymore. It's not short term. It's a place where people are living with us, spending their life. We have residents from 18 to 80, and people living with us. That's their home, and they don't have to leave. It's permanent. And the things that many of us take for granted, they have through living in Cornerstone.
What would you say to somebody that you maybe bump into at the grocery store and they say, Mark, what are you working on now? What are you doing in your volunteer life? How do you answer that question?
I tell them I'm doing the best thing that I've ever done. I was a housing person in my career. When I retired, I knew about Cornerstone because we've been around for 40 years. But when asked to become involved, it's one of the things I said yes to. And I know that we're making a difference in people's lives every single day. Is there more to do? Absolutely. And we need more government support. We need to build more housing. We need the programs to support that. But I know that we're making a difference in people's lives. And that's a wonderful feeling. As a volunteer, that's what we look for. But we're able to see that we're getting much more out of it by our participation with a wonderful group of people.
So let's picture Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and Premier Ford and Mayor Mark Sutcliffe. They're all sitting around the TV watching you right now, talking about Cornerstone. What message would you send to them today about this issue and about Cornerstone?
I would say thank you for your support. We couldn't have done Eccles without funding from the federal government, the support from the city, funding from the city, and the ongoing programming funding that comes from I would say thank you, but we need a lot more. There's a crisis out there. And groups like Cornerstone, we can't do it ourselves. We rely on the generosity of the community, but we don't have the money to buy and renovate buildings or to build new buildings. So we need your support. We're able to do what needs to be done, but we need the support. We're very grateful for the support from the community. It's wonderful, but we can't do it alone. And so we need help.
It really does take a village. I mean, that's the bottom line. It takes everybody to come together. I was very thrilled a couple of years ago. I got to co-host with the one and only Joseph Cull, the Purple Tie Gala, and that was a highlight for me. The energy he has is incredible. But the room was just so alive that night, and everybody was absolutely laser focused on where those monies were going.
Well, we will have in the fall our next Purple Tie Gala. I still have a little bit of purple in my hair from this year's.
I can see a little bit, yeah.
And we will celebrate towards the end of our anniversary year with a gala, and it's a different kind of gala. People do dress up. They put purple in their hair. They wear purple. You were fantastic, Joseph, and all of the volunteers are tremendous. But it'll allow us at the end of the year to celebrate this wonderful anniversary that we're going to be experiencing, and raise some more money and be able to thank the donors and supporters that we've had throughout the 40 years. And I'd like to say we won't need to do it anymore, but for the years to come, because we're there for the long term with permanent housing for women.
And I love the fact you've said it again. I love it. You say permanent, because I think so often people are leaving precarious situations. And Jo mentioned it as well in her beautiful story that she shared, is that they're leaving a situation which is so tenuous, and then going to something that isn't permanent is just another layer. So that permanent part is so key.
And some of our residents are going back to school, they're getting jobs. When you have a safe place to live, you can then do the things that you want to do. We also have an outreach program now. When people leave our residences and go to apartments on their own, we want to be able to support them as well with that whatever little bit of help, so that they can stay and live their lives. So it's as permanent as anything is permanent, but it really is a place where people are at home. And I think Jo talked about that beautifully in what it means to be part of a Cornerstone.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure. I don't know how we've never met over the years, but I'm happy today's the day.
Well, thank you so much, and it's so wonderful to be able to talk about an organization as great as Cornerstone.
Thank you so much. Mark Holzman joining us and sharing his experience as chair of the board of Cornerstone Housing for Women.
we're not done. We've got more to share with you. We've got a couple of great guests coming up. I hope you stay with us here on An Hour to Give. And we're back on An Hour to Give. I'm Sam Laprade. Thank you so much for spending time with us today, learning all about Cornerstone Housing for Women. One of the incredible staff is joining me now, and that is Chantel Kadzou. Hello, Chantel.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Lovely to have you here. What's your role at Cornerstone?
So currently I'm working at the shelter as the interim evening manager, and then starting in January I will be the program manager for Eccles. So I'm very excited for that opportunity, and I think it'll be a really great experience to go from seeing the women at the shelter to now transitioning into having their own housing.
I can only imagine how rewarding that work is. Take me back. How did it all start? How did you find yourself at Cornerstone working there?
Honestly, I started about 8.5 years ago. I just came out of school and did my placement at the family shelter and knew that I really wanted to work with women, and got the opportunity with Cornerstone and started off really as a relief staff, and then just kind of moved my way through all the different positions there were, and ended up on the overnight manager, and then went into the evening, and now going into the programs manager at Eccles.
That's amazing. Eccles, very exciting. 46 people will be housed there. This is an amazing project. I was saying earlier that, you know, it really is a project that is a solution to the crisis we're having, right? So walk me, as a staff person, what's your perspective on growing Cornerstone?
Well, I think supportive housing is something that we really need, right? It's great to get somebody housed, but a lot of people do need those extras, a little bit of support, and that's what supportive housing does. And it's a home, it's a community. It really, for someone that's coming from not having somewhere they feel safe to now finding somewhere, a community where they are able to feel safe and connected. And honestly, I've kind of seen it from the shelter when somebody moves, and that excitement and that joy is like opening a Christmas gift in the morning, right? Like that is how excited people are to get to be able to move into supportive housing, and they finally get a chance to kind of breathe, right? People go through so much trauma, and to finally have time to have a safety net and the support from staff and the supports that they need, they now can start focusing on themselves and kind of, you know, taking away the layers a little bit at a time. And that's what I'm excited about.
Wow, I love that. I've spoke to many women over the years and diverse gendered people as well that have come from an abusive home. And many of them talk about this whole idea of walking on eggshells and just never really feeling like they could have a good night's sleep, never really feeling like they had a meal where they could feel safe and just go about their day-to-day lives or invite people into the home. When you have that kind of experience and you come to Cornerstone, does it take a little while for them to sort of acclimatize?
Absolutely, right? It's not easy. It's a whole new environment, and we do our best to try to make that environment safe and comfortable, but it's not easy, right? Trauma and experience does take time, and it's by learning that they can trust us and that we are going to be there for them, that slowly changes for them. But I think that's amazing because we are there with them through their journey when they need it the most, and we get to support them through that, and they get to have, you know, to feel better once they've realized that they found somewhere safe. And, you know, having those services like the nutrition meals and having workers to be there to help them. We have lots of outside agencies that come as well, like Inner City Health. So all of their services are coming to them where they feel safe, and with time, that makes it easier to feel safe outside of that environment.
Is hope a big word at Cornerstone? When you see somebody come in and you can almost see where they're going to go before they can, you know that their life is going to be different. Is that provide a lot of hope?
Absolutely. It definitely provides a lot of hope, and I think that it does for them too, and that's the important part, right? And it's not just hope, it's a whole new chapter to their story, to their life. And that's what I think is the really important part, right? It's we really need to focus on those individuals that have gone through a lot, and for them to be able to succeed at the end.
So as a frontline person, break some myths for me. If somebody thinks they know what it's like to come into the shelter and work in that environment, tell us, what people may think it is and what it really is.
Well, oftentimes people that think that come to the shelter are, are only people that have substance use or only people leaving violence situation. But honestly, it's a lot more than that. You have people are coming because some of it is because of the substance use, but there's sometimes mental health, sometimes it's just poverty. You hit a rough patch and you haven't been able to kind of make yourself out of that. You might have just lost your job and don't have any family in Ottawa. Sometimes you're a newcomer and don't have anywhere to go. So many people come to the shelter for different reasons, and I think what people forget a lot of the time is that you or somebody could easily be in that same position tomorrow. And if we didn't have supports like we do now, who's going to be there to help you or help your loved one? Right? So I think that sometimes that's the myth, that people think that somebody chooses not to be able to afford housing, and that's not true. Sometimes life is hard, and that can happen to any of us. So I think we need to really understand that and know that everybody needs a little bit of help sometimes.
I am so glad you said that, because I think that is what people think, that it's a choice, or I think you've explained it beautifully, but I think that's a really big, important point today, that, that Cornerstone is there for a variety of reasons, and everybody's story is different.
Yes.
It's an important part.
Everybody's story is different, and everybody, kind of ends up in different paths, but we are lucky enough to be part of that, and that is a really special thing, and that's what keeps us coming back every day, right?
And what do your friends and family say about your work? Because I can only imagine they're pretty proud of you.
Yeah, they think I have an interesting job, because they, like before, they really had their own ideals of what it was, and they've now been able to see in a different lens, and are now even helping more out in the community and being more supportive. And they, so far, think it's pretty great.
And when you finally lie down at the end of the day after maybe a busy day and you put your head on your pillow, what are some of the things that go through your mind about the work that you do?
Honestly, most of the time I'm just really trying to look at everything that positive that happened that day and what we can do tomorrow to make it better for them, for those residents. And, I come home and I feel that I know I've done everything that in that moment, in that those seconds, to make them smile, and that's what I want to keep doing. I think that's the important part.
And talk about the team at Cornerstone. I know many of the team members, very energetic group, certainly doing it because of the goodness in their heart. Talk a little bit about the team.
So we have an amazing team, and we have amazing staff that truly care. Most people that go in this field do it because they have a great heart and they really want to be able to make a change in someone's life, and that's what this team is. They will come in and do anything they can to make it better for someone. And everyone has lots of energy and usually lots of personalities, tend to be in social work, and that's definitely a lot of what we have, but we have the staff that really want to make a difference. And I think that's the really important part. And have some fun while doing it.
Right.
Right?
So important.
Yeah.
So important. Have you and the team thought about yet what it's going to be like to be at Eccles and to have this incredible building celebrating 40 years? I mean, there's a lot coming in 2024.
It's very exciting. I'm really excited to see Eccles open and kind of like the procedures as we go through it. Everyone is extremely exciting because it's a new supportive housing, which we so need in Ottawa. We do not have enough supportive housing. We also don't have enough women's shelter, but that's exciting. We are giving 46 units to residents. How amazing is that? And we have great partnerships. We are going to have 30% is going to be for Indigenous people, and we're going to continue working with Minwashin Lodge, so that is great. We're going to have 2 beds available for residents currently staying at EFRI Society, and we're going to have 4 beds for the Canadian Mental Health Association. So all of these great partnerships coming into the building, which is so exciting, and an opportunity to continue to grow. hope.
And no charity can do it alone anymore. I mean, those days are gone. You know, we spoke earlier with Mark Holzman about the impact of government assistance and obviously donors, but all these partners. It really, you know, when you talked about wraparound service, I sort of see us all wrapping around Cornerstone, to be honest.
Yeah, we definitely need funding, right? And we definitely need donations, and that's a really big part of it. And we are very lucky that the community has been great and really does support, but we obviously still need more. It costs us, I think it's like $2 million a year we have to raise for the shelter. So just to give you an idea, there's costs, right? But these services are really needed. So we definitely need everyone's help to do that.
Absolutely. And as we head into the holidays, anybody wanting to make a last minute gift to Cornerstone, I know it would be welcomed. From a staff's perspective, when you see great events happening and the fundraising happen, how does that make you feel about your work?
Well, it's really exciting because sometimes, you know, when somebody's having a hard day, then I can boost it up a little bit because we maybe got an extra little care package as a gift. Care package as a gift at Christmas morning. Christmas is not always an easy time, especially if you're, you know, some people don't have their families with them. And we get some donations and we get like Christmas bags for the residents so that we're able to give it to the women. And the excitement they get really makes it special. If you're looking to donate, please visit cornerstonewomen.ca. And if you're looking for more information on the shelter or Eccles or any of our supportive housing, there's a great list there too that explains it all.
Well, I can see why you're such a great ambassador for Cornerstone. Thanks for everything you do. I know it's not easy work, it's rewarding work, but I know that it's a big sacrifice on you as well. Like it's challenging sometimes, and I'm really grateful for you spending time with me today.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been great. You're energized me as well. Chantal Cadeau joining us today, talking about her work at Cornerstone Housing for Women. I know you're inspired. I know you're going to visit their website and make a gift to go a long way for the women and people seeking assistance there. When we come back, my friend Amber Brammer is going to be here. Stay here for an hour to give. I'm Sam Laprade, and we're back on an hour to give. We're featuring Cornerstone Housing for Women today, and Amber Brammer's joining us now. Hi, Amber.
Hi, Sam. Thank you for having us.
Amber, I am so excited that you're here because you are really this driving force behind a lot of the fundraising, which we're going to get into, but there's no two ways about it. I mean, the need is great. Walk me through some of the numbers that you're seeing, Amber.
Oh, for sure. I mean, all of our fundraising is driven by the cause and the demand for shelter and housing. So this past year, we haven't seen numbers at the shelter like we've seen in this last year. In October alone, there was 269 women that Cornerstone had to defer away from our shelter. So that's 269 women that needed a safe space in October. And that's just the month of October. We've had hundreds of women needing a safe space, and that was before the city had opened up the winter. What are they called? I don't know, shelter community spaces.
Yes.
Yeah, so that was just before they opened those up, and now that they are opened, there is a place for everybody, thank goodness, because the winter is extremely cold, bitter to the bone, so we really don't want anybody outside. And
I can see why you work 24/7, because I get emails from you at 7 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock at night, every time in between.
Yep.
Because the fundraising is so important and so many demands, in the community. This one, and I mentioned it earlier, this one really has only gotten attention in the last 10 years. We've only really started to talk about homelessness for women in the last decade. So raising money for this, is it hard? I'm going to ask you, is it hard?
Oh, it certainly can be hard. A lot of times, women who are experiencing homelessness, like Joe talked about earlier, there's a stigma against women experiencing homelessness from their family, their peers, their community. And so to put women on the forefront of the local news all the time is one, it's difficult because there might be that shame for that woman and she's not ready to share her experience. but two, they might not be visible to us. They might be couch surfing, or they might not be ready to share their experience with whatever trauma they're going through. And so there's certain vulnerabilities, I would say, for women's homelessness that as a fundraiser, I have to be really careful about, and have to ensure that we're taking a very trauma-informed approach when we're talking to women and we're asking them to share their story, and you know, working with the staff and making sure they're okay, because it's a lot to come on television and share your story and be vulnerable to hundreds of thousands of people who are on the other side of that TV screen.
For sure. Yeah, beautifully said. And you've got a lot of different activities planned for 2024. I'm convinced you won't be sleeping again in 2024.
No, I don't think so. I'm hoping maybe 2025 I'll get a rest.
Maybe. 2024 is a very big year, 40th anniversary, coldest night of the year. Kick us off there.
Yes, so coldest night of the year is happening on February 24th, and that is a walkathon in Westboro Village. And so we'll be getting together at All Saints Church in Westboro and starting the walk from there. And last year we had 350 people come out, and then we all go on a 2-kilometer walk or a 5-kilometer walk, come back. We have some chili, some music, some crafts and games for the kids, and it really does feel like a community coming together to support a really important cause. And people go out of their way to make sure that they're there at that walk, or if they can't come, they'll do their walk, and they'll make sure we know I had, you know, X amount of steps in, and I did my walk here, and send us pictures and all that kind of good stuff.
I know a lot of friends have participated in the past, and it's always this debate, like, it's not the coldest night, and I'm grateful because I'm going to be out walking. But the point really is getting that community together, making sure that Cornerstone has what you need.
Yep, exactly. And all the funds raised so our goal is to raise $100,000 at this walk, and that funding will go directly to our emergency shelter. So Chantel mentioned earlier, it costs $2 million to operate our emergency shelter every year, and the fundraising department is responsible for raising $1 million. So half of that funds have to come from our team, and so we are busy going to different events, talking to neighbors, going to restaurants. Anywhere I'm out, I'm talking about Cornerstone, I'm sure.
This I know. I know. And walk us through celebrating the 40th anniversary, the Purple Tie Gala, big hit. I think the last time I saw you, we were both all in purple, which was wonderful. This year's in 2024 will be even more special.
Oh, for sure. So not only do we have the walkathon in February, but we have our 40th anniversary. So technically our 40th anniversary was December 18th of 2023, but December is a crazy time for anyone. So we thought we'd give ourselves some extra days to plan, and we're going to be celebrating that at the first week of June, and we'll be announcing in the new year where we're going to host our 40th anniversary. But it's been a lot of fun. We have this beautiful committee of residents from all over Cornerstone. We have frontline staff, we have volunteers, and we just met the other day the woman who started Cornerstone. So she'll be there. Her name's Kitty, and her and some fabulous women that started Cornerstone at Sandy Hill, in All Saints Church in Sandy Hill. There was about 3 to 4 women there, and they had a mission, and they weren't going to stop until they got a safe space for women in the city.
Wow.
So
can you imagine how she's feeling
with
this organization celebrating 40 years? I mean, that's a story right there.
Oh yeah, it's incredible. So we're excited and looking forward to her coming. And then we of course have Eccles opening. And so Eccles will be opening its doors in the spring. We're fingers crossed for April, and 46 women and gender diverse people will have a safe place to call home, which is very exciting.
It's amazing. I mean, I think about so often, when we thought about homelessness, it was just getting somebody shelter for that night. But the big picture, and Mark Holzman and I talked about a lot, that permanency is so important to ensure somebody feels, this is my home, I can shut this door, there's my bathroom, I can make myself a meal. There's dignity in that, Amber.
Oh, for sure. And every single staff member at Cornerstone, they are there and volunteer. They're there because they believe everybody deserves a home. And they know, and they've seen stories, or they've met people who have been at the shelter or on the streets, and the hardships that you have to go through. It's a struggle every day of your life when you're at a shelter or you're at that low point. And so having someone like an organization like Cornerstone be there for you at the worst time of your life means hope, right? Like we talked about that earlier, that is there's a glimmer of hope there. And when you get to see a woman move on to one of our housing residences, because we have 4 supportive housing residences, and Eccles will be our 5th supportive housing residence in the new year, you really understand that it's not just about the 4 walls that woman is in. It's about the community that's supporting those 4 walls. And it's about Minwash and Lodge providing cultural supports. It's about reaching out to Tanunsagat Inuit to provide Inuit services to women. It's working with Elizabeth Fry Society, who's supporting women who are incarcerated, Canadian Mental Health Association, and Ottawa Inner City Health. And we could not run supportive housing. I like to call it a housing with a hug, because we are really giving a giant hug to those people in those rooms through all these kinds of services. And every single person who donates to us every year is making a difference in someone's life.
Oh,
And
100%. And if somebody's inspired, because how could they not be after this show today? I'm inspired. How can somebody give?
Somebody can, if you're wanting to give, you can go onto our website, cornerstonewomen.ca, to donate online, or you can give us a call, which is 613-254-6584, extension 514, and Michael would be happy to take your donation over the phone, or you can send us in a check to 314 Booth Street, and we'll pick up the mail from there.
Are you going to be able to rest at all through the holidays?
I hope one day, but I am just getting very excited for the new year. There's lots of great things happening, and we couldn't do all of this work without the government funding for Eccles, but really the community support is coming out in a huge way. Last year, our donors, our neighbors, our partners donated 25% of our funding came from our community, which is huge. That's half of what the government gave. So we know our community cares about women and gender diverse people, and we know the need, unfortunately, is there. We would, love to work ourselves out of a job, is what all of us say. And, ending chronic homelessness is something Cornerstone knows we can do, and we're good at providing supportive housing, and we'll keep going down that route.
Absolutely. And for people that have donated, whether it be, at the Purple Tie Gala, or maybe it's an online appeal that they responded to, or maybe they saw you on Facebook, whatever it is, what do you say to the donors?
Oh my gosh. I want to say not only thank you, but it's incredible that you've taken a step to give the best of yourself. And I think when you give a donation, you really are giving to a cause that you care about, and that's incredible. Just knowing that you've made a difference in someone's life really means a lot to not only the women, but the staff and the community, because at the end of the day, when a woman is housed, the community is going to do well, and it's going to foster and grow, and businesses, et cetera, it'll all fall in place. So we just have to take that first step, and we're incredibly grateful for any donation, whether it's $5 or $500. It all counts, and we can stretch that dollar as far as possible.
And I'm starting to think too about next year, 2024. I mean, wouldn't it be great if someone watching, listening right now was to say, okay, I'm going to donate $40 a month for the year of 2024 to celebrate, or $20 a month, or $100 a month, whatever they can do. Monthly giving is so important.
It is. Becoming a sustainable donor allows us to plan for those, capital funding needs that might have to happen, or to plan for if there's a crisis. Last year we had a fire at Booth Street, and we had to, rush to the community for support because it wasn't planned. And so being able to plan for that $1 million and have that sustainable monthly gift is the cornerstone of the work we do. And monthly donations truly do go a long way.
I see what you did there. The cornerstone.
like it?
I get it. I get it. We only have about a minute left, but it's such an incredible honor to share these stories and to share the story of Cornerstone with everybody listening and watching right now. It's such an important and vital organization in our city. Please extend my thanks to the entire team, to the board of directors led by Mark Holzman, and of course to all of the staff and to all of the residents, because we said it right off the top. I did say it, but the wonderful Joe did. It's bravery to step out and create a new life. So thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having us. I really appreciate being on your show.
Oh,
it's always a pleasure.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Amber Bramber joining us today. All of our guests today, thank you so much for sharing a little bit of yourselves with us and all through the lens of Cornerstone. They would be very grateful for a gift. If you had an opportunity to donate to them, they would definitely appreciate it. I'm Sam Laprade. This has been An Hour to Give. Thanks so much for listening.